Do you ever do that thing where you think about how you want to write your book and then you start thinking about all the time you've spent doing those pointless things to procrastinate, and then you get overwhelmed with this sense of guilt and you want to write your book but you can't now because you're stuck in this negative spiral of depressive doom? Or is that just me? Cue the intro! Hello, my name is Alyssa, and I'm here to give you the proper mindset and habit development tools you need to become a successful authorpreneur. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and consider subscribing. Today we're doing another video on my Overcoming Writer's Block series, and today we're dealing with what I like to call writer's guilt, which I define as the guilt a person feels when they're not writing but they feel like they should be. It can be paralyzing and it really, really sucks. But before we dive into this topic, if you haven't watched my You Are a Writer video in this series, go ahead and do that, because this next part I'm going to talk about will make a lot more sense if you know why I'm so passionate about identity and why I think it's so important to identify yourself as a writer before you do anything in this writing career seriously. One of the major contributors to writer's guilt is when you define yourself as a writer based on how often you're writing, as opposed to defining yourself as a writer first. It is key to identify yourself as a writer in order to overcome writer's guilt. If you base your identity as a writer in who you are as a person, as opposed to whether or not you've written anything recently, you don't feel guilty when you stop writing for a bit. And yes, I said when, because any reasonable, healthy person needs to take a break sometimes. You don't feel guilty because you know that you will start writing again when you get the chance, because you are a writer and that's just what you do. There is no regular employee job that you would go to where you feel guilty if you stop working when it's time for you to clock out. And if you do feel that way, you need to find a different job, because either your work environment sucks or you have a crappy boss. Don't create a sucky work environment for yourself, and don't be a crappy boss to yourself. You need to clock out of the act of writing sometimes. And that doesn't mean you're not a writer. Just like when you have a day off from work or when you clock out at the end of the shift, it doesn't mean you're not still an employee just because you're not there working the job. It could mean you're not still an employee, but it doesn't have to mean that. Another reason you might be feeling writer's guilt is because you're comparing your journey to other people's progress. You might feel like you're not as far along as you should be compared to this other person, or they have this many books written and you only have this many books written. This needs to stop. And I know it's difficult, but it needs to stop. You are in the lane you are supposed to be in, and you are the only person in that lane. Don't go looking at someone else's lane to see how far along they are in theirs. That is only going to distract you from the work that you are meant to do. If comparison is really messing you up and keeping you from going forward, then cut out the people that you're comparing yourself to. If they're on social media and you feel uncomfortable in following them, you can mute their posts so you don't see what's going on in their life. Do what you gotta do to stay focused on your work. Don't worry about where other people are at in their journey, because ultimately it is completely irrelevant to you and your progress. Writer's guilt can also come when you keep failing to hit your own expectations. In my Camp NaNoWriMo Survival Kit video, I talk about the importance of setting achievable goals. Essentially, if you're not hitting your expectations, you need to change those expectations into something that is more manageable for you. And this is so that your brain will start to expect yourself to hit your goals. And in doing that, it will subconsciously be cheering you on and giving you the motivation you need to keep on doing that and hit bigger goals. When you do hit those little baby step goals, it might not look much at first, but internally you're building your confidence, as opposed to bringing your confidence in your own abilities down and repeating that negative cyclical story that you are unable to succeed. Identifying and tackling these three areas has really helped me overcome my own writer's guilt, because I used to suffer from that a lot. But now I'm really solid in my identity as a writer. I don't compare myself to other writers, and I've learned to set realistic goals so that I can stop disappointing myself. Because let me tell you, there was some high-key disappointment going on. I missed like 3 deadlines for finishing my second draft, but now I've learned and I've adjusted, and I've set a manageable goal for that now. So it's gonna happen in October. It's gonna be done. the second draft. Tangent. If this is something you feel like you might need a little bit of extra help with, I've created something that I call the Writer's Accountability Planner. Basically, it's a 30-day goal setting system that helps you set and maintain and track manageable writing goals. And it comes with 30 days of journaling prompts that help you solidify your identity as a writer. And there's some pretty deep stuff that we get into with those journaling prompts, like confronting hidden insecurities and rewiring your brain to think differently. It's been just life-changing for myself, and I wanted to help other people with that as well. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I'll have the information for it down in the description below, and you can check it out if you want. That's all I have for today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to receive weekly videos on how to develop the right mindset and habits you need to become a successful entrepreneur, go ahead and subscribe. Videos go up every Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.